They point to success and whisper, "He got lucky." They see someone rise from nothing and nod with smug detachment, "She was just at the right place, at the right time." But let me ask you this, have you ever seen a seed bloom by chance? Has any masterpiece been painted by accident? The truth is, luck is a word used by those who don't understand the laws of reality. It's the excuse of the unawakened. But for those who know, for those who see clearly, luck is simply the visible effect of an invisible cause, the inner world creating the outer world. You are not a bystander in this life. You are the architect. You don't stumble into blessings, you summon them. Not through struggle, not through chance, but through alignment with the laws that govern all reality. Everything you have ever experienced is the echo of what you believe to be true, what you imagine to be possible. The world is not outside of you, it is inside. What you assume, you attract. What you feel, you forge. What you claim as yours becomes yours. But most people sleepwalk through life. They react instead of create. They hope instead of expect. They dream vaguely and call it ambition, but never dare to step into the fullness of their inner power. So when they see someone else succeed effortlessly, they call it luck. Why? Because it's easier than admitting they, too, have the same power but haven't used it. Reality bends to the bold. It flows toward those who feel the end before it appears. Luck is not lightning. It doesn't strike randomly. It's more like gravity, constant, silent, precise. If you feel yourself rich, you move like a rich person. You speak with the clarity of someone who expects the best. You show up with the confidence of someone who has already received. And then life follows suit. That's not magic. That's not mystery. That's law. Stop waiting for a lucky break. Stop praying for something outside to rescue you. You already have the power inside to create every breakthrough, every relationship, every opportunity, every dollar you could ever desire. The door isn't locked. The key isn't lost. The only thing missing is your decision to believe that reality is responding to you, not the other way around. So choose now. What do you want to be true? Not tomorrow, not when circumstances change, but now. Choose to feel the results you desire as if it were already yours. Breathe in that version of yourself. Walk like it. Talk like it. Live like it. Because the moment you do, the world has no choice but to rearrange itself in your favor. They'll call it luck. Let them. You'll know the truth. It was law. It was always law. And you finally chose to live by it. They look at someone winning, and the first thing they say is, "That's just luck." But what they don't realize is that luck is simply alignment that's gone unnoticed. It's the outer result of a quiet, inner certainty. When your thoughts, emotions, and assumptions come into harmony, outcomes begin to show up so seamlessly that others call it chance. But it's not chance, it's precision. It's the silent power of knowing that reality responds to the tone of your inner world. The so-called lucky ones are not just fortunate, they are aligned. They walk in expectation. They think in outcomes. They feel the future as if it's already happening. That's not randomness, it's resonance. The universe echoes back what you radiate, not what you merely wish for. People may not understand your rise. They may try to minimize it. Let them. You'll know the real reason behind your success. It was law in motion, not luck in disguise. There is a secret not taught in most classrooms. Effort does not create reality. Assumption does. You can work until your hands bleed, but if your inner world is filled with doubt, resistance, or lack, your external results will mirror that. Effort is useful, yes, but it must be powered by belief. It must flow from an assumption so rooted in certainty that reality has no choice but to comply. What you assume about yourself becomes your truth. What you accept as real becomes your world. The ones who thrive are not always the smartest or the most skilled. They are the ones who assume their vision is already fact. Their mind doesn't question how, it just knows. And from that knowing, the path reveals itself. When you master assumption, effort becomes directed, not wasted. You stop forcing and start flowing. The law doesn't respond to what you try, it responds to what you are. You don't attract what you wish for in moments of desperation. You don't pull things into your life by begging or bargaining. You attract what feels natural to you, what you consistently believe is yours. Life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you live from. If you walk as someone who knows love, you attract it. If you live from abundance, you multiply it. If you feel worthy, the world reflects your worth. This is not superstition. This is structure. The outer world bends to the identity you claim within. If you believe wealth is distant, it remains that way. But if you begin to embody the frequency of already having it, reality rushes in to match. It's not manipulation, it's resonance. Everything comes not to the one who waits, but to the one who is. The law is faithful, not selective. Be what you seek and watch it chase you. No one ever stumbles into greatness. Even if the journey looks effortless from the outside, there's a pattern behind it. That pattern is belief solidified into expectation. When a person succeeds, it's not because they tripped over fortune, it's because they aligned with it mentally, emotionally, and energetically long before it appeared. They weren't guessing, they were certain. The results were drawn to that certainty like metal to a magnet. It might appear effortless, but it's not accidental. Success is simply what happens when your internal state is consistent with the outcome you desire. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is the frequency you dwell in. Those who keep rising are those who refuse to doubt. They don't second guess the process, they trust it. So while others are calling it coincidence, you'll be too busy experiencing what you once envisioned with clarity. You can't fake alignment. You either feel it or you don't. And reality is not fooled by empty affirmations or forced positivity. The law doesn't respond to words alone, it responds to the emotional imprint behind them. That's why the key is not in effort or repetition, but in feeling. When you feel something deeply and consistently, you charge it with creative energy. That energy sets reality in motion. It's not luck when it shows up, it's fulfillment. The outer world is your echo, and feeling is the vibration that sets it into play. So when you dare to live in the energy of your desire fulfilled, things begin to shift. Slowly, then suddenly. You don't need to chase outcomes. You need to become the version of yourself who already has them. The law doesn't require struggle. It requires identity. You manifest not through force, but through frequency. People love to praise the visible, the house, the money, the relationship. But what they don't see is the invisible groundwork, the mental reality that was laid long before any of it appeared. The truth is, your inner world is always the root. Everything else is just the fruit. What you experience outside is nothing more than the reflection of your internal state. If you want to change your life, you must first change your self-concept. Stop looking for external permission. Start living from internal conviction. You are not at the mercy of circumstances, you are the creator of them. The mirror will never smile first. You must. The world does not change until you do. And once you do, reality follows like a shadow. People may think it's overnight success. Let them. You'll know it started the day you changed your inner picture. We live in a world obsessed with cause and effect, but few understand the true cause is always unseen. It's not the job that makes the man rich, it's the man's inner wealth that attracts the job. It's not the relationship that brings happiness, it's the happiness that attracts the relationship. Everything begins from within. You are not reacting to life, you are projecting it. You are not a victim of what happens, you are the source. The outside world is like clay in your hands, shaped by your beliefs, assumptions, and identity. If you want to see a different world, you must speak a different inner language. You must embody a different internal rhythm. The law of reality is loyal. It gives you more of what you are. So be careful not to live by default. Decide, create, embody, and then allow life to mirror your decision with precision. Most people are chasing what they already have the power to create. They hustle for attention, for validation, for abundance. But the secret is they don't need to chase. They need to align. You don't get what you chase. You get what you align with. Alignment means your thoughts, your emotions, your self-concept, and your assumptions are all speaking the same language. And when that happens, reality listens. It bends, reshapes, and reflects your inner clarity. Chasing implies separation, but alignment creates embodiment. You stop being a seeker and you become a magnet. The effort doesn't disappear, it just becomes smarter, smoother, and sensed with outcomes. You no longer need to push, you attract. That's not magic, that's law. The universe doesn't respond to desperation, it responds to identity. The most powerful shift you can make is from hoping to expecting. Hope is passive. It waits. It wonders. But expectation is active. It assumes. It moves. When you expect something, you prepare for it. You speak like it's already true. You walk like it's already done. You show up differently. The energy changes. You stop trying to convince yourself and start living like someone who already knows. That's when life responds. Because expectation is a declaration to the universe. This is who I am. This is what I receive. You're no longer asking, you're claiming. And the law of reality cannot resist that kind of clarity. It rearranges things on your behalf. Doors open, paths clear. But not because you forced them open, because you walked as if they already were. That is the essence of manifestation. And that's why others call it luck. There are two kinds of people, those who wait for the world to show them a sign, and those who become the sign. You can live your life waiting for permission, or you can decide that your assumption is enough. When you live from the end, when you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you activate the law. And reality bends accordingly. The outer world reflects your internal state, not your wishful thinking. You can't deceive the law with surface-level belief. You must become it. When you claim something is yours, fully and without doubt, life aligns itself in ways you couldn't orchestrate through effort alone. And when it does, people will call it chance, coincidence, or fate. But you'll know. You didn't wait. You became. You didn't hope. You embodied. And what arrived wasn't a surprise, it was a certainty unfolding in time. They say it's random, but that's because they never saw the inner work. They weren't there when you chose to believe in silence, when you persisted in the face of nothing. The world only sees what appears, they never witness what is imagined and lived in private. That's why they call it luck. But you know it was deliberate. You rehearsed the outcome in your mind until it felt natural. You persisted in the assumption, even when facts disagreed. You didn't wait for validation, you gave it to yourself. And in time, reality caught up, not by accident, but by law. The unseen always becomes seen when it's felt consistently. And when it finally manifests, they wonder how you did it. Let them wonder. Let them speculate. Because you weren't gambling, you were creating. And now you're living what you once only dared to feel. The world is not acting upon you, it is responding to you. Everything that shows up is a reflection of what you've held inside. If you feel like a victim, life will keep giving you reasons to confirm it. But the moment you shift, the moment you claim your place as the author, the script begins to change. You're not a passenger. You're the one steering the entire ship with your beliefs. It doesn't matter where you've been or what's happened before. What matters is what you now choose to assume is true. Life isn't punishing or rewarding, it's mirroring. If you see the world as abundant, Opportunities will seem to pop out of nowhere. If you feel worthy, relationships will reflect that worth. Stop reacting, start radiating. The moment you take responsibility for your inner world, you reclaim your power. And then reality has no choice but to respond. You don't need to shout your truth to the world. You don't need to beg for what's already yours. The cause of your reality is not in outer effort, it's in inner acceptance. You become what you feel to be true. That's the only requirement. No one sees it when you're quiet, feeling the end result, living from the unseen. But that's where the magic happens. You don't chase the dream, you inhabit it. And when you do, things begin to rearrange themselves to match your inner conviction. It's not about hustle, it's about harmony. There's a rhythm to reality, and when you're in tune with it, you move without force. What belongs to you finds you, not because you ran after it, but because you became the version of yourself who already had it. That is how the law works. And that is why it always feels like luck to those who don't understand. So many are waiting for a breakthrough, yet they never change their internal blueprint. They wonder why life stays the same, not realizing that expectation is creation and doubt is delay. You can't receive what you constantly question. You can't live a new life while holding on to old assumptions. The law doesn't bring you what you wish, it brings you what you expect with certainty. Doubt scatters energy, but belief focuses it like a beam of light. When you expect success, you move differently. You speak with authority. You prepare for the outcome as if it were guaranteed. And it is, that's what makes the shift. Expectation puts reality on notice. It's a command, not a request. You stop acting like a beggar and start showing up as a builder. And then what you prepared for starts arriving. Because the law never fails, it only waits for your conviction to become clear. You can't fool the law of life. You might convince others with your words, but you can't deceive reality with half-hearted belief. The law isn't watching what you say, it's tuned into who you are. You can't fake the inner feeling. You either dwell in the end or you don't. And the results you see are always a perfect match to that inner dwelling. That's why some people succeed without trying. They're already living from the version of themselves who has. Others struggle despite working hard because they never shift their identity. The law responds to being, not effort. So if you want a new result, become a new self. Step into the role completely, not just in public, but in your quiet moments when no one is watching. Because that's where the real creation happens. The law is precise, not partial. It doesn't discriminate. It only reflects. And it always answers who you really are, not who you pretend to be.